Hey everyone, so there's been a lot of interest in unedited coding videos and seeing developers' thought process in action. So today I'll be making a library command application with JavaScript and Firebase from scratch, completely unedited. Don't forget to like and subscribe and enjoy the video. Alright, so to get started, we're going to run npm init-y for default values. Alright, and once that's done, let's create let's install npm i-save console input. It's going to allow us to get input from the terminal in a very easy fashion. And this is a command line application, so it's a music library from the command line or terminal. Alright, once that's saved, we're going to need a way to kind of model our books that we're going to put in, our music books. So to do that, I'm going to create a book.js file. We'll use capital B for book in this case since it's going to be a constructor function. I thought about using a class but didn't really see the need for that. So let's do function book, capital B. You can name it lowercase, but I'm just naming it uppercase so I know that it's a constructor function. It's going to take a title, an author, and how about year published, a year that is published. Sounds good to me. And we want to return an object because it's a constructor function, and we want to return the title as title, the author as author, and year published as year published. Now also we want to include a date that it was published on, so date. And to do that, I think I might have to look this up. It's going to be something like new date dot local, two local date string sounds right. Okay. And so whenever we call this book function, it takes in a title, author, and year published, and it's going to spit out an object with so we could say book.title, and it'll give us the title, book.author, author, book.year published, and book.date, hopefully. So let's save that, and actually let's export it, and we're going to make sure it works in a second, module.exports equals book. We want to export the book. Save. And now let's create this is going to be where all our main stuff is, index.js. And we want to do const book equals require / book. Yeah, we want that to get the book from this book.js file, the book function. And underneath there, let's make sure it works. So we can do, let's say something like const book1 equals book. And inside of that, I have a book here, and it says, let's see, it's called Playing the Trumpet. And the author for this is Bill Bay. And the year published, gotta look, 1970. Oops, guess that doesn't need to be a string, 1970. Alright, and then we should be able to console.log book1. Just see if that works. We'll eventually want to get input from the command line, but for now let's just, so we have our book, we export it, import our book here, create a new book from that function, and we're going to log that book. So let's run it, node index.js, and there we go, we get an object. Title playing the trumpet, author Bill Bay, year published, and date. And we should be able to just get part of that object too. Let's test that. So book1.date. Suppose we just want to log the date. And there's the date. Okay, perfect. So we can create new books. Now we want to get that book from the input from an actual person. So up top here, remember we installed that console input library. Let's go ahead and bring that in. Const input equals require console input. Okay, now this, if you're familiar with Python, it's going to work just like that. Excuse me. If you're not familiar with this input library, it's just a very simple way of getting input in Node without going through all the setup. So we could do something just to test this input. Let's go ahead and delete this for now. Let's comment this out. We'll say that. Oops. Comment that out. And we're going to make sure this input works here. So we can do something like const user input equals input. Okay, that's that function right there. And we're going to say enter a book. And, you know, they need to enter a book and author and all those different things. But for now, we'll just say enter a book just to see, make sure it works. All right, so there it says enter a book. Oop, we guess we should have logged it, right? So let's do that. Console.log user input, right? Now come down here. There we go. Enter a book. Yeah, we just said playing the trumpet. Cool, and it logs playing the trumpet. So we know that library works. That's great. That's what we want. But we need three things from the user: a book, a author, and a date. And I think we're gonna have two paths for this. So one path would be like, hey, enter a single book, and the other one will be you can enter multiple books at once. Not really sure how I'm gonna implement that yet, but it's okay. We're about to find out. Function, let's call it main, and main function doesn't take anything, but it's there. Let's assume we just want a single book for now. I don't think there's any point in entering multiple yet. So here we go. Function main, and we're gonna say we want to give options for adding a book, deleting a book, finding a book, seeing if it's there, right? So we need those things. We need like add, delete, find. It's not much of a library if you can't do anything besides add a book. Also the date.toLocal date string here is like, so I know when I added the book to the library, right? So it's going to get me today's date. I don't need it to be precise to the minute or anything, so I'm just going with today's April 9th for me, so 4/9. All right, so we need some type of console.log, and we want it to say enter task, enter task, yeah, enter task. And then underneath, we're gonna give some task options, right? So add a book, we'll just say add. Excuse me. Also, we're gonna want a, we're gonna want some type of nice intro here to our library, and we'll get that in a minute. Let's do this part first. So console.log add is an option. We can do console.log delete, console.log find, add, delete, find. And we're not going to give an update option. We'll just do add, delete, find. If you want to update it, for now you just delete it and re-enter it. So there we go. Those will be our options. And then at the very bottom here, we want to run that main function, main. Again, this is kind of all recorded on the fly, so and that's the point, is to perfect, and we get this is to record kind of unedited stuff and see, so you can see kind of the thought process. All right, now I got all these things here in my main function. I don't really need that. I could do that That horn is very loud. Anyways, from outside, we can take all that stuff we just had, and we can create a new function called print tasks, print task options. There we go. And we'll just throw all those in there inside of print task options, and then up here we can say print task options, and we'll just call that function. Cool. Save it, make sure it works. There we go. Enter task, add, delete, or find. Right. And I think maybe just to make it look a little better, kind of add some arrows. Oops, not to enter task, to add, delete, and find. So if you're not familiar with VS Code, you can click and then hold down the Alt key and click behind the other stuff you want to do, and you can do it all at once. You can add those all at once. So I wanted to add three arrows there, so type it one time and it's in 3 spots. And I think that'll just look a little bit better. Let's check. Yeah, it looks a little bit better. All right, so now we have our tasks, our task options. Cool. We've printed them. Now we want to, depending on what the task is, we want to run a certain function, right? So right now we just want to focus on adding a book. So if I guess we need to get input, so we need to say, hey, enter one of these tasks, and then we can say console, or not console, const, and it wouldn't be input, it might be, we'll say user task equals input, and we're going to say all right, so in my head that just cleared up, which is good. We can do that down here. Const input or user task equals. I don't like how that's set up actually. We'll just leave this as print task options. And we'll get rid of that enter task because we're going to put it up here. So we can say const user task equals input, and we're going to say enter a task. Now it's going to look the same as the first time, but what we're doing is we're getting that input and we're storing it in user task. And if we log it down here, you're going to see that hopefully it shows up, right? Enter a task. Oh, I guess it needs to go the other way. So if we want to print the task options, and then we want to get the input, right? So we could add, we want to leave that enter a task, put it underneath, and then we can do up here, we could say something like task options. Save. Let's add a colon. Run it. Okay, task options, add, delete, find. Then it says enter a task. So it's enter add, and it should log it, right? Logs it. Now instead of logging it, we want to have a function that kind of breaks it down. Hey, what was that task that's entered? And for now, in our case, it's just going to be add, but eventually it's going to be lots of things. And I think for that, it's going to be add, delete, or find. We can do an if, else if, because we need to handle all the inputs that aren't add, delete, or find. It needs to be like, hey, it's not an option. We could do that in an if, else, or we could do a switch statement. And I think I'm going to opt for the switch statement. So for now, we'll leave it in main, and I may move it. We're going to run switch on the user task. And it's been a while since I've written one. Make sure to see if we can write it correctly. Case of add. And for now, let's say console.log add. break. You need a break statement after each one. And then for now, since we don't have anything else, let's do default. And our default statement's going to be, we want to run main again because it's not an option. So we can do default, want to run main, rerun main. But I think before that, we want to say, hey, you can't, that doesn't work. That if it's not add, it's not a task that I can do right now. So we can do something like console.log, error, please enter valid task. That should work. And it'll rerun the main function. And let's add a new line there just to break up the spacing a little bit. Let's try that. Run it. All right, task options, add, delete, find. Let's pretend that we want to get that error message. So let's do let's update, right? Because we said we can't update. It says error, please enter a valid task. You know what, let's add a new line on the back side of that too, I think. Just to kind of space that error out. So let's run it again. Run update. Yeah, error, please enter valid task. Cool. So maybe we do add, and it should console.log add, which is exactly what we want. So that's good. All right. So now when we add a book, yeah, we can, for now we can say console.log add. For find and delete, can't really do delete yet, but let's add the case statements in just to have them there. Case, delete. Gonna console.log delete and break, and we're gonna do the same thing for find. Case find console.log. Also, if you're not familiar with VS Code, when those autocomplete options come up, if you hit tab, it'll complete that for you. Add, delete, and find is the third option, right? And break. All right, so depending on what we type in, we get a different thing logged to the console. So let's give that a try. Find, cool. And it doesn't run the main function again. It only runs it if there's an error, because we need to redo, right? So enter a task. Let's do update just to show it runs it again, right? Error, and then we can do delete, and it'll log delete. Good. I guess the next step would be flushing out these functions. So when we add a book, we need to use this constructor function up here. And again, this isn't scripted, so if I'm stumbling over it a little bit, that's why I'm learning as I go. I'm creating these, for people who wonder what it's like to actually make something without editing it and seeing the difficulties of that. Without editing the video, I mean, and looking like it's perfect. Because it's never perfect the first time. There's a lot of Google involved, which is about to happen for the database, right? Because when you store something, it needs to be stored in a database so that it sticks, it permanently sticks, and we can access that the next time we fire up this application. Also, if you're not familiar with running Node outside of here, you can run it in PowerShell. So I could do something like PowerShell and CD tutorials, I think, and it's in here. It'd be music library, and I can run it from inside of PowerShell. If you're not familiar with that, just something else I can bring up, right? So there, it's showing me the same options. Update. It says error, and if I write find, it'll print find. Perfect. So just wanted to show you that you can run it. You don't have to run it in the terminal here. You can also run it in a different terminal. Now we're going to want to connect, when we add a book, we want to connect it to, eventually to Firebase is what I'm going to be using for this, I think, Google Firebase, unless I start that process and it becomes just completely unintelligible. I guess we'll find out. So instead of console.logging add, let's say if the case is add, we want to run the add function, add book to library function. Excuse me, that's very specific, add book to library. Okay, and then let's create that function. So maybe we do thinking we do a new JS file for these add, delete, and find functions once we get them going. For now, we can leave them in here. So function add book to library. Doesn't take in anything because we're going to get the input from the user, right? So we can say if the user says they want to add something, great. Then we want to do, we want to get the book they want to add. We want to get the author and the date to add, right? And we can get them all at once, or we can kind of split get them. I think I'm going to vote for split getting them, so it's really clear how to use this library if you're the user, right? So we could do something like const, we'll say title equals console or input, not console, input. It's that function we imported up top here. And what do we want to say? Enter title. That'll work. Enter title. And then we want to get the author. So input, enter author. And we want to get the year, or year published. So input, enter year published. Cool. And just to stick with the capitalization, let's do that. And let's make sure this is working. So we'll log the title, author, and year publish. Console.log title, comma, author, comma, year published. Just do that for now. Save. And let's run it. What do we want to do? We want to add. Enter a title. Okay, again, playing the trumpet. Enter author. The author is Bill Bay. And the year is 1970. Playing the trumpet, Bill Bay, 1970. Perfect. All right, now instead of logging them, we want to create a new book out of them. And that's where this book constructor is going to come in that we made. Remember, it takes in the title, author, and year published, and it creates an object out of the title, author, and year published. So let's get rid of that welcome screen. And we just got the title, author, and year published from the user. So now we can use that to create a new book. So we can do const book to add equals. And it's going to be a book, the book constructor, right? So we're going to run this book function. It's going to take in these title, author, and year published, and it's going to spit out an object. That object's going to be returned into this book to add. So here we go. Book with playing the trumpet. Author is Bill Bay, and the year is 1970. Oops, don't need that. There we go. Okay, and then, oh, yeah, see, it's getting a little later in the day. I'm starting to forget what I'm doing. I don't need to hard code these, right? Initially, we needed to hard code these, but we don't need to do that because we just got the title, author, and year published from the user in the terminal. So these don't need to be hard coded. We can just say book with title, and it uses that title right up there, and author. Now this is a little bit more flexible. It doesn't have to be hard coded every time. Year published. All right, cool. And now we can say console.log book to add, and we should get an object, right, of the title, author, year published, and it should also have a date. The day that we published it, because if we remember, it's got this date key value pair also. Let's give that a go. Cool. We want to add a book. What do we want to add? This time we want to add the Arbin book. Oops, don't need quotes. Arbin's. It's by Arbin. We'll just say that for now. I don't know the year off the top of my head, but it's on the bookshelf behind me. We'll say 1945. Cool, and we get that back, right? So the Arbin's book by Arbin, year published is 1945, and the date that we stored the book into our new music library, which is pretty sweet. So, and again, we didn't actually store it yet, right? There's nowhere to store it, but we did log it to the console. So storing it's going to be the next step. And before we get to deleting a book and finding a book, I think we need to go into Firebase and figure out how all these things work. I haven't been there yet, so here we go. I have Google on my other screen, but I will bring it up on this screen in just a second. Let's do Firebase Database and see what comes up. Cool. So here we are, Firebase Database, real-time database, right? Ooh, read and write data sounds right. I guess I need to set up the database first, right? Yeah, so get started. Okay, and this is, if you're new to development, this is a big part of the developing job is Googling things and figuring out how they work. You can't memorize everything, it's impossible. Unless you have photographic memory, and there's still too much stuff out there to memorize, so Google is good. Alright, if you haven't already, create a Firebase project. Sure. I had this practice one I set up called JS Fire, but I don't really want to use that, so let's see if we can delete that. There wasn't anything in it yet. How do I delete it? I'm not seeing a way to delete it right now, so let's skip that. I'm going to add a new project, because this is a music library. So let's start with a name for your project. Music library. Perfect. Continue. Enable Google Analytics for this project. Free analysis, sure. Select an account. Default account for Firebase, sure. Create project, I guess. So creating project, not sure what's going to happen from here, but let's see what it does. New project is ready. Continue. Great. Here it is. I think we want the database, right? So I don't really know what I'm doing. I may have to find a tutorial on how to get started here. Create database sounds promising, but we also want the real-time database. Maybe view the docs. Seems right. Cloud hosted, stored as JSON. Yep, we want that. Real time. Instead of HTTP requests, uses data synchronization. Blah. Okay, blah. Let you build. Cool. I think I was closer when I was back here. Installation and setup in JavaScript sounds good. Let's go back though. Reading and writing data. Yeah, we're gonna want that, but I guess we gotta install and set it up in JavaScript first, right? If you haven't already, I did that. Navigate to the database section of Firebase console. Be prompted to select an existing Firebase project. Follow the database creation workflow. Okay. Alright, this is where we were. Database section. You'll be prompted to select an existing. Follow the database. Select a starting mode for your Firebase security rules. Test mode, good for getting started. That's what we want. Allows anyone to read and overwrite your data after testing. Understand Firebase real-time rules. Okay, so yeah, we want to start with the test mode, I think. And if I need to, I'll blur out the parts that are database sensitive there. Return database, declarative rules. That's configure your rules for public access. URL tab. Alright, so let's create the database, right? Start in production mode. Your data will be private by default. Start in test mode. Yep, I think we want the test mode for now. Your location setting is where your storage, sure. We're just gonna leave that with the default. Done. Maybe we didn't want Cloud Firestore. Don't know. Guess we'll find out. Don't know if we want the real-time database or the Cloud Firestore. Just said follow the instructions, or the doc said to. Sometimes when you read online docs, they're not that good, so we'll see. Security rules shouldn't take long. We're in the test environment here. Cool, here we are. No idea what I'm doing, but we are definitely here. What's this button? Help. I'm always about help. Cool, I guess. Yeah, okay, so now what is the question? Now what do I do? You must specify your real-time database URL. I got the feeling that I need to have a real-time database and not a cloud database. Yeah. So, doggone it. That's what I want. The real-time. Cool. Okay, so there's nothing in here right now. How do we get started with it? Probably something with npm, right? So let me Google that. npm Firebase. All right, and Firebase Firestore, Cloud Firestore component. Let's see what this is. Hit me with the Firebase package, I think, because we need to connect to this Firebase somehow. Yep. Okay, we're going to eventually want that real-time database. But for now, we're using npm. So npm install -- save Firebase is where we're going to start. Let's go up top here. And we're going to leave this all in the main function for now, but I think we're going to separate it out very quickly. So not up top in the terminal, npm I -- save Firebase. All right, and it's working on it. Might take a little bit of time. Might take a lot of bit of time. If you want to, now would be a good time to fast forward until this is done loading. Guess now would be a good time to look at the docs while it's taking its jolly time there. Yeah, so it's going to take a little bit, I guess. Access Firebase. You know what we want? We're just installing the whole Firebase for now. Let's see. Yeah, we want the database portion of it, right? So just kind of looking through while it's loading. Seeing if there's anything important here. I'm sure there is, and I'm just missing it. I think when I clicked on this, it took me back to Firebase, right? It was this. Yep. So it's probably where I need to be because I want to use the database. Follow this guide, SDK, in your app. Sure. Okay. Install your preferred editor. Yep. Sign into Firebase. Sure. Done that. Create a project. Did it. Excuse me. You can add it to your web app. Visit Understand Firebase. Learn more. I don't think that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, database. Add Firebase. Maybe this isn't it either. Node.js. Saved Firebase. Good. The following options to use the Firebase module in your app. You can require modules from any JavaScript module. Alright, so let's add this first, right? And then we want to add the database after, I think. Include the entire Firebase rather than... Let's see what this looks like. Yeah, so we're not a production app here. We're just a terminal app for now. So, but again, we may only need the database and the app. So I guess we can do that. We want that line for sure. And we're not going to use var, right? That's ES5. We want const. Anything that's not changing, you want const for. If it's changing, cool, great, use let. But use const otherwise. If it's not changing, why give it the chance to change? And then maybe underneath that, we can say const db for database equals require Firebase. I think I saw slash database. I knew I saw that somewhere. So let's do that. Don't know what that does yet. About to find out, hopefully. Import modules, don't care. Initialize your Firebase in your app. Replace the following with your app's Firebase project configuration. Okay. So we need this stuff, right? So enable Firebase. Here's an example config. That's cool. I think that's what we need, right? So let's go back to here, and we had that other stuff. There it is. This is going to be our config. Cool. And of course we don't want var, and then we're going to get rid of that var in a second. We need to initialize our Firebase app, but we want const here because this The things inside of the config may change, probably not. Either way, I'm going to const out here for this config. Now, how do we fill up our configuration? API key. Oh boy. Right. Okay, let's go back to my application, if I can find it. Let's go to the project. Yep, this is it, music library. I want the database portion, right? Real time. Okay, this must be this copy. What's this? Yeah, go. Let's see if that copy paste works. Oof, that did not work. Undo that. Okay. Just go in here and, oops. Control C it. Because I think that's going to be our, it looks to be database URL that we're going to need, right? So let's start with that in our config. We just want to get this up and working. Database URL. Oops, I guess we need quotations there, right? Yep. All right, that looks good. And then the auth domain, we're not worried about authorization right now, I don't think. Project ID is just going to be the first bit of that, so let's add that. Project ID, capital I, lowercase I, lowercase, or D, lowercase d, okay. And it's just going to be this bit, I believe. Don't know for sure. That looks right. Storage bucket. Not sure what that's about. Don't know if I need that. Don't know what a sender ID is. Don't know what the app ID is. Or the measurement ID. Yeah, Firebase Config object. That's what I need. Download config file or object. Firebase Config for each of your project's apps. Right. You need this config file to configure your app. Learn more. Yeah. Okay. Project settings in your apps card. Okay, that must be my apps card. In your apps card, select the nickname of the app for which you need a config object. Ooh, this is shiny. Okay, so I'm gonna have to blur out a few of these, I guess. I think I found everything I need. Data privacy. Sorry, I'm drinking tea in the background. Also, users and permissions. All right. That's just me, so I'm gonna need this web API key here. And I probably want to store that in a different file, right? You don't want people just all up and taking your API key. So call this, need like a config.js file. I'm not sure if that's what you call it. That's what I'm gonna call it. And let's say const API key equals, oh geez, no, it's gonna be that string of API key. So copy and paste that in there. You won't be able to see mine. I'm gonna blur it out. And then we want to module dot exports, excuse me, equals API key. Okay, cool. And then in index.js, we want to import that config file, specifically the API key from it. Okay. So const, I think we can just do const API key because it's the only thing we're exporting, equals require /config. Yep. And let's bring that up top, or up with this other local import we have, and then these. So let's separate. These are external libraries that aren't part of Node and are not part of the program, and then these are libraries that are part of or JS files within our program. So just bringing some clarity there. I'm going to console.log that API key just to make sure it works, and I'll try and blur that out. We'll see. Just sanity check for me. Oh no, don't reinstall. Oh my gosh. There we go. Yeah, it did. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that worked. Alright, so I shouldn't need to go back to that config file anymore, so make sure to import your API key and leave it in a separate config file, right? And later I'm going to upload this to GitHub, so what I want to do is do a git ignore file for later. And I want to ignore that config.js file because I don't want that file, this file with my API key, getting uploaded to GitHub where everyone can just take it. You're going to need your own API key for that if you clone it from GitHub, right? Or anybody will. Alright, so we're trying to get this to work. And one of the setup things we needed was API key. Cool, so let's just copy that over. Boom, paste it. And instead of API key here, we're of course going to put in the API key from up top, the variable, which was our API key. There, this key, right? Sweet, let's get rid of that log there. Don't want to log our key to the console anymore. So we got our API key, database URL, and project ID. I think that should be enough. I don't know though. Take a look back in here. Project ID, public facing name, settings, control instance of project shown to the public. Okay, so I have a project name and a project ID. I don't necessarily think that makes a difference. Hopefully that's everything I need to make this work, right? So let's assume that those three things will get us going. And let's find out if it does. Initialize that, Firebase Config, great. How do I find out, or how do I check the database thing? What's this? Install CLI. If you've linked your Firebase web app with a hosting site, deploy command line tool. Install, initialize your Firebase project. What does do? I don't think that matters right now because we're not on a site. Access Firebase in your app. That's probably what we need, right? Firebase.database. That's, I think, what we want. We want this reference documentation, maybe. Gonna find out, right? So Firebase.database, and let's see if we can get that. So down here in the console, not in the console, stop that. Console.log Firebase.database. And let's see if we can get that database logged. Right now it's empty. I would love to see if it works. Hey, nice. Okay. So, boom. We've got it, right? All this stuff here is the database. It is connected to Firebase now. Or we wouldn't have gotten this back. It would have been empty, right? We got the namespace, host domain, blah, blah, etc. Let's see what else is in here. Date update count. Auth token, real time. Yeah, there's no authentication right now. Yeah, but where's the data? All this, and where's the null at? There it is. Nope, that's the wrong null. Okay, well, it's there, so that's cool. Now we need to figure out how to add this book into our database, right? So we open this, which is what we want. Database, right? That's what we want to deal with. We just log the database. Let's see. Gets the database service, blah, fire database can be called with no arguments to access, right? To access database service associated with specific app. Also a namespace. Get the database service for a specific app. Oops. Okay. Let's see. If not provided, the default database service will be returned. Returns database. Okay, I think we're sort of heading in the right direction, maybe. This app, was this in our... I'm gonna need read and write data, right? I also need to know how to structure data. And I want to view my database. I may need this. I don't know. Not sure. Let's exit out of that one. To read or write data from the database, you need an instance of Firebase.database. Okay. This document covers the basics of retrieving data. That's what we want. Again, I'm just reading, so read and write access to your database is restricted, so only authenticated users. Yeah, we don't have authentication right now, so it should be good. Can you set Firebase.database.ref? Overwrites data. We don't want to overwrite. We just want to add. Don't want to read right now. Also want to do is add. It's a JSON tree, great, okay. Easy. Avoid nesting data, okay. Cool. I'm not worried about scaling it right now. I don't have that many books. Alright, so I'm thinking what I want to do is do something at Firebase real-time database, add data, yeah. Saving data, read and write data, right? We want to write data. I think that's where we just were. I just read too fast. All right, so we're gonna need to get access to our database. Cool. And again, I'll split this up in a little bit. Just gonna get rid of that var. Oops. Make it const. We're just gonna call it database for now. I know I have DB up here. Maybe I change those because I don't want to write out database every time. DB. You know, maybe I just need this bit. I can't tell. Keep both for now, I guess. Alright, we want to write data to the base. Yep. Save data, specified reference. Sure. Database dot ref. The ref is users / plus user ID. Dot set. Okay. Let's see if this works, right? That'd be a good goal. So we got the database here. We're accessing it here. Oops. Let's try it and see what happens, right? Firebase.db.ref. We don't want to call it users, we want to call it books, right? These are books. We don't need a user ID right now. Set username. We're going to do this inside of add, I think, because we're adding. So instead of console.logging it, I'm going to try and add it to the Firebase data if we can. Oops. So what do we want to set? We want to set an object. We already have our object. It's called book to add. So we can get rid of this object. And we just want to set book to add. Save. And the DB we're referencing, I thought, was here. But it doesn't appear that way, does it? Maybe it needs to be the database from up top. I don't know. That's odd. Let's see what happens, right? Oh, we're still logging the entire database, right? We don't want to do that. Add, enter title. Let's go with Arbin's again, by Arbin in 1945. Oh, error. That's good. I mean, that means we're on the right track. Firebase.db is not a function. Okay. I think for app purposes, we just want to do require Firebase and ignore this, because now Firebase dot database is a function. Should be. Database, that should be a function, I think. Let's try it again. Maybe. Hopefully it doesn't freeze. Oh, it froze. Oh, snap. I killed it. It's dead. Okay, this is unfroze. Let's can that terminal. Something happened. Node index. Oh, enter task, add. Enter title. Okay, Arbin 1945. Oh, okay. Firebase warning, failed permission denied. Okay, why did we get that? What the heck? Unhandled rejection, throwing inside of an async, right? This is an asynchronous right now. All right, so why is our permission denied? We have the API key, we have the database URL, and the project ID. Google that. That's why we have Google. Database permissions must be corrected. Permissions then allow non-authenticated users. Not liked, but for practice, I think it would be okay. In Firebase console, it's only database. Right, we don't want to allow non-authenticated users, but I think for the purpose of this tutorial for me, I think it'll work. This looks good. Open Firebase, select database on the left-hand side. Right-hand side, select real-time. Drop down, change the rules to read and write as true. That sounds correct. What was that? Okay, I'm already in. I'm in Firebase. I don't know what's going on there. There we go. Hit me with the music library. Database. Rules, right? Allow read write. If request timestamp is through the next month, right? Let's develop and test. Prototype, emulator suite. Probably not, right? This rule allows anyone to view, edit, and delete all your data. Okay, right? That's not great, but it's good for getting started, which is what we want. Alright, so that rule should be set up. So why can I not access? Any other ideas, right? I got that same issue. I have the same problem too. Read, write, true. Options here, fix the problem for me. Alright. Change rules to true. I think I did that. Am I in the cloud part? Could be, right? Oh, I'm in the cloud part, maybe. Yeah, I was in the cloud. Let's go to the real-time part. Rules. That's what it is. We need read to be true and write to be true. There we go. So hit publish on that. That's what's wrong. So if you're not getting a permission error, go to real-time database and change the rules and change it to read and write as true. All right, now back to the app. And our database currently doesn't have any data, right? But if I save this now and I run it, it should work. Oops. Hopefully. And again, I don't have it as async await yet, so Node's gonna say, hey, unhandled rejection, which is fine for now. Add. What do I want to add? I want to add. Let's go back to playing the trumpet. Bill Bay. Just we'll use capital letters. Bill Bay. 1970. And I think it's adding. I don't know. Gonna find out. It's taking its jolly time, whatever it's doing. See if the permissions work out. It's really odd that it just stopped like that. That's set. Okay, that was the last thing on the menu, so maybe that's why it's just stuck there. And then I gotta exit out. Hey, sweet. So books, nice. Author, date, title, year published. Sweet. So it's there. All right. Now I don't know why it's hanging like that though. Guess we would have to close out of the program, right? Or go back to main once it's added. So maybe do like main here. So let's add one more. Just make sure we can add that. So title would be Arbin's this time, by Arbin, and 1945, and it's back to main. So let's go to our Firebase, refresh the page, see what we got here, right? All right, so it's still this one. It didn't do the other one. I think it might be because this is async and I immediately try to go back to the main function. Not positive. Yeah, so add Arbin's, right? By Arbin, 1945. And we're gonna wait a little bit. It's gonna take a little bit of time, I think. Yeah, okay, so it overwrote this books thing. So now we need a way to store more than one book. We need multiple books within book. So, I think we're gonna need to change our book thing here. We're gonna need an ID for our book, right? So every time this book function is ran, we need our book count, or our ID to increment. So each book needs an ID, and the ID is going to be the count. Maybe, not count queuing, just count. And if we do this, I think what we can do is say, not const, because this needs to change, right? So let count equal 1, and then the count equals 0. Well, every time we run it, then count would be 0, right? We don't want that. Are we gonna add an ID to the book that changes every time? Okay, I got an idea. So in main, right? The only time we're ever gonna add an ID to a book, maybe there's an auto ID feature. Add auto ID Firebase Database. There we go. Oops, it's gonna be loud on the mic. Auto increment, yeah. No auto incrementing keys, since this won't work well in massively multi-user systems. Auto generated keys called push IDs have important. That didn't help. Yep. So maybe oops. All right, so we're connected and we've added a book. All right, but we need the ID to change so we don't just keep adding. We need, for the second, let's do this. Let's export, let's get this config and initialization in a different place, and then we'll import the Firebase from there, I think. So just to get all this extra stuff out, so let's do firebase.js, and we want to get this out for now. Right, we also need the API key. Excuse me. We'll come back to that problem in a second. And grab the Firebase. I guess I can't call this firebase.js. Rename. Let's call it fire.js. Save this, right? And we want to module.exports Firebase. Why does that look wrong? Compared to book, module.exports book. That looks right. This looks wrong. Not gonna let me do that. Now we want to do const Firebase equals import. No, not import. Require /fire. See if it runs. Add. We're gonna try a different book here. I have let's see, it's called Essential Elements for Strings. The author is Michael Allen, and the year published is 1995. Let's see what that does. See if that'll still get us there. So all I did was try and move the Firebase, the config part of the Firebase out into its own section. Let's see if it works. Right, so not there. Yeah, so here it is, right? So it did update. So that's good. We know that moving the Firebase portion out into its own file was indeed successful. So that's good. Now we need to figure out how to get this differently every time, right? So because they're all books, maybe we need an ID here. So user / let's do this ID, or yeah, say book ID. Now I need the $sign out in front to make that book ID come to life. And we need backticks, I think. Yeah. There we go. Maybe no, I don't need the $sign. Wrong language. Yeah, so backticks, and we're gonna put book ID inside of there, and we should be able to do something like, hey, every time this add book to library is called, right, we want to update the count, and we're going to put the count, the ID, in here, so we can say const user ID equals 1, and we're going to pass this add to library function the user ID, and then so this gets a user ID. Oops, ID. or I'm gonna call it a book ID. There we go. Let's call it a book ID up top too. So it gets a book ID and it uses it here when it stores. So let's say change both of these to book ID. And then when it's after it stores, after we add the book, we want to do book ID plus equals 1. We're going to add 1 to book ID. So the next time we store a book, it is 2 and 3 and 4, right? Although I think that won't work, because whenever I restart the program, it's not gonna be right. Let's try add. All right, let's do a different title than we had. Playing the trumpet, because we just had essential elements, right? Bill Bay 1970. Oh, error. Doesn't like that. Assignment to a const. That's let. Alright, try it again. Add playing the trumpet. Enter author Bill Bay. Year published 1970. Alright, let's go over to Firebase and see what happened. Okay, so now we have books, and we have book 1 is this, right? Oh, that's weird. No, we have book 1 is that. Okay. We want to get rid of this outer book here. So let's just get rid of that. Delete. That's the nice part about Firebase, is you can just kind of get in to the online console here and delete some stuff out, which is what we want. So now we're logging like individual books, right? So now we have this ID of 1, and it's got this book in it, this Bill Bay book. And if I refresh it just to make sure it's still there, books 1, yeah. So let's add 1 more while what happens if I log out of the program, right? And I log back in and I do add. Now we want to go back to Arbin's. Author is Arbin 45. Now my guess is it's going to overwrite it and say book ID is 1 again, because I had to restart the program. So I need to figure out how to get an ID inside of Firebase, I think. Right, because now it's Arbin's. Yeah, see, this overwrote this 1. I don't want it to do that. When I restart the program, I don't want the ID number to reset. So I think we can solve that in a unique way. We'll leave it like that for now, because we're gonna get the books, and when we get the books, I think then we're gonna be able to add the most recent ID to it, and I'll show you how that works in a second. So let's do function get all books, right? So in this function, we want to get all the books. So let's add a new case here. So for now, we'll say find is actually called find all, or let's call it get all books. All books. We'll just call it all books, because the user will type in all books, and that'll be here. So they want to find, all books. Alright, so now that's an option, and when all books is called, instead of find, we'll come back to find. We want to, not console.log get all books, we want to run this function called get all books. So get all books. Cool. And let's bring the function. up top, just so we can see a little better. All right, so now we need a Firebase command that gets all our books from here, and that's where we're going to get this ID. So I think when we go to add a book, we need to grab all the books and then get the most recent ID number, and then add 1 to that to get the next ID. So for the small amount of books I have, that should work just fine. So I need a Firebase command, excuse me, that gets all books set, update, push transaction, saving data. Ref dot. I like this better. So ref dot child. In this case, ref dot child would be not that. Dang it. There we go. Books. I want to use this actually for our ad, right? So I think what we can do, this is screwball looking to me. This whole thing is just too much. So I want it to be a child of books. And this is a book to add. In this case, we'll store it under its title for now, and its const. We'll do title dot set. Maybe this is the title, right? So it'll just be user ref for now or something. User ref is fine. Users ref. I don't call it book ref. Book ref. Book. And instead of setting all this crazy stuff, so instead of that computer science stuff there, we're just going to say books.set, and it's going to be, how did they do that? So they have an object with objects in it. So, okay. So we can do title is the name of it, and then the object is just simply book to add. Cool. What's wrong with that? Comma expected. Wasn't a comma there. And then, no, it was an object on the outside. I see. So this is an object. Let's see if this works better or worse. Okay, enter a task. I need a new book. I think there's one called all 4 strings, and it's by, add. Right, we need a real one. All 4 strings. It's by Robert Gillespie, and it was published in 1965. Oh, and we get an error. Ref is not defined, right? So there's that. So I don't think ref is a thing. I think it would need to be firebase.database.child. .ref.child. Right? Because initially, if I control Z this, yeah, it was .ref, firebase.database.ref. Yeah. So go back. This had parentheses, dot ref, dot child. Let's try that. Again, it was add all 4 strings. Robert Gillespie in 1965. Nope, error. .ref.child is not a function. Okay, let's go back to the way we had it. I thought it looked better this way, but it's not getting the job done, so there we go. Anyways, back to getting all books. So I just Control-Z'd my whole way back to this, which is fine. Object properties are automatically mapped. Locations. Okay, so maybe I need to save it as JSON also. That might be good. JSON dot parse, not parse, stringify. We want to stringify the book before we add it, I think. Maybe that'll do something. So let's run it again. Add all 4 strings. Robert Gillespie, 1965. Alright, and let's see what that does, because now we changed what we're doing a little bit. Yeah, so now it's stringified and it's in here under 1, which is fine. So now we got it as a JSON object inside of the database, which is cool. That's kind of what we want, right? Now when we get it out, we'll parse it. Now we want a second book and a third book and so on. So still the same problem. So we still need a get data. How to structure. Let's look at this how to structure data again. Also, I think while that's loading and taking forever, save data, update, no. Here we go, retrieve data. I don't know why the internet just got really slow. Internet's been slow recently. JSON tree, consider UUID. Yeah, that looks familiar. So, npm UUID. Let's see what this does. I remember seeing this in a Traversy tutorial, I believe. So that would give each book a unique ID every time, I think. Maybe. Shouldn't be that difficult. Let's do random ID generator npm. That's not nm. npm unique ID. Let's see. Don't love that. What's this? Oh, this one's well loved. Let's see. Short ID dot generate. Cool. Let's see. Let's use this. Let's use this short ID. So we can do npm. I like that a lot. Npm I dash dash save. What was it called? Short ID. Short ID. And then we don't have to auto increment it every time. We just create a unique ID for each book, right? Because when we search a book, we're going to search by title or something like that. So this should solve our problem. Okay, we have that. Great. Now we should be able to follow what that said. Const short ID equals require short ID. Save that. Now come down to this add function, and short ID dot generate is what we need, right? So we want to generate a different ID for each book. So here it is, slash short ID dot generate. So we're gonna get a new ID for, and let's do it out here. Const for each book we need a new ID. So const ID equals short ID dot generate, and then it's gonna be book slash ID, and that's this ID right here, right? So that should work really well. Now we should be able to add books and they won't overwrite each other. We don't need that book ID anymore. The books we were trying to increment ourselves, we just create a new random ID every time, which is exactly what we want. Alright, so it just took a little bit to break through, but hopefully that should do the task, right? So let's clear out our database. Let's get rid of this book. Yes, delete. Okay, and now our book library is empty. And let's add. We're gonna add playing the trumpet, Bill Bay, 1970. Okay, and of course it hangs because we don't have anything after, but there it is, right? And it's got this unique ID now, which I think is what we need. Let's try one more. Now if we refresh the program and add a new book, we should have both books there. I can't believe it took that long to solve, but I'm glad it solved it, right? So that's great. Essential elements for strings. Author is Michael Allen, and the year published is 1995. Alright, again, it's going to hang, but there it is. Boom. Now we have two unique IDs and two books inside of our books object for the Firebase, and we just keep adding books until we have them all. So that's okay, Microsoft. That's how we're going to add books. That's great. We of course don't want it to hang like this, right? We want this bit is asynchronous. So we need a way to deal with the asynchronous part here. We could say, hey, this function is an async function, right? I don't know, I get confused with async awaits a lot of times. So let's see. Now we want to await that whole bit, and then once that is successfully completed, then we want to console.log book success book added to library. And maybe this has to be in a try catch, right? Because we don't know if it's going to work. So try, what are we going to try? We're going to try this bit here. And if it works, that's great. And if there's an error catch, we're going to catch the error. And if it's an error, it's what kind of error is it? Let's see. Error types JavaScript. Error types. It's not a range eval. No. Internal. Range reference. Instance. Invalid reference. Syntax type. Alright, so I'm not sure exactly what kind this falls under, so we're just going to call it an error. So throw new error. Well, yeah, throw new error. Could not connect to Firebase, something like that. And then regardless, finally, because either way, we want to then call the main function again and just continue on. So there we have it. Let's give that a go. Add. Enter title. I've entered the two beside me. Let's do Arbins. That's we haven't done yet. Arbin 1945. All right, and it says success, book added to library. And let's add a new line after that to give it some space. I don't like the way that was working. So let's see if Arbins is in there. Perfect, there's Arbins, right? Nice. So now we have 3 books in there. And they've been added. We tried, we awaited this, right? And that's great. So async await, right? You need an async function to use await, and you're going to use await on something that's asynchronous. In that case, this call to the database, and if it works, great. Log this. If it doesn't work, throw that, but either way, run main after, right? I'm not sure if throwing an error here would cause the program to completely crash or continue. So if I'm not sure, we should probably just console.error or log, console log. We'll just log the error. Say like, hey, it didn't work. No point in trying to throw and potentially breaking the program. Okay, cool. So that's add book to library. Now we want to get all books, right? So how do we get all books? Well, we just need to get this. So yeah, retrieving data. Perfect. Getting started, admin, dv, blah, yep. Ref.on value. Ooh, this is a little attach an asynchronous callback to read the data at our post references. Okay. You can pass optional cancel callback. That's confusing. All right. Let's I guess you know what? This is the page that didn't work so well for me. Read and write data. Read and write data. I think this page was working out. Hopefully it's the page I'm thinking of. Yeah. Write operations, we did. Listen for value, no. Read data once. In some cases, you may want a snapshot of your data without listening for changes. Initializing. You can use the once method to simplify. Triggers once and does not trigger again. This is useful for data that only needs to be loaded once and isn't expected to change frequently or require active listening. Uses this method to load a user's profile when they begin. Let's try that, sure. Let's just give it the old copy. And let's give it the old paste. Now, first note is we don't need this, I don't believe, because we don't want a user ID. We just want to get /books books. That's it. That's all we want. Once with, not sure what this value, then snapshot. Okay. So instead of var again, we want const username. Not sure what that's about. Snapshot.val. Alright, so let's say we're gonna need snapshot.val. So const let's say all books equals snapshot.val. And let's do console.log all books. Let's see what we get. I don't like the way Firebase does any of this, but I don't know. I don't play around with a ton of databases, so maybe it's all the same. I guess we'll find out. All books. Hey, cool. So it did exactly what I wanted, right? Except I don't necessarily need these IDs. Maybe it's good to have the IDs. And it gets all the books, which is pretty sweet. Now, what if I do all books is like key values, but I only want the values because the values are the JSON objects there. See, right? So we have ID is key, and then this is the value. Oh, jeez. Yeah, this is the value for that key. This is JSON string that we want to turn back into an object. So we don't even have to turn it back into an object, I guess, but I'd like to. So we can do all books is an object of key value pairs. So we can say const books. Yeah, just const book. Oh, nope. Just const books equals object dot get. Oops, object dot values. What do we want to get the values of? All books. Now we're going to have an array of objects, or an array of JSON objects. And just to make sure, I'm going to log it. So all books. Boom, an array of JSON objects. Cool. Now we want to go through each object, each JSON object, and turn it back into a JavaScript object. So we can say const, we'll call this actually JSON books. And we can say const, just books equals map. And what do we want to map? We want to map for each book, for each JSON book. What do we want to do? Oh, that doesn't work. I'm thinking, I've been coding in Haskell for work, so we need to do JSON, wrong way, JSON books.map. What do we want to do? We want to take each book from the JSON books, and we want to run JSON dot parse on the book. Okay, and that's going to spit out a new array. So we're going to have an array, I think an array of JavaScript objects now. There's something I'm missing and my brain's getting tired. We're going to find out. All books. Okay, let's see what we got. There it is. So we have an array. Nope, I wasn't missing anything of objects. And now we can manipulate those objects if we want, right? If we wanted just the titles, we could get just the titles. We could get just the authors, just the years published from each object if we wanted. But cool, we got those elements back, which is exactly what we want when we say get all books. We want to get a list of all the books. Perfect. Get all books. All right, so we have that function, that get all books function. We don't need it for this add to library, but it's a cool functionality to have, right? And again, this is a async thing. So, async And maybe if we're just returning it all in one shot, it doesn't need to be. It seemed to work very well. So maybe we just need a try catch here. Try. Try to return the books. Else we want to catch the error. And we'll just say console.log the error and run the main function again. All right. So there's get all books. We have add book to library. 2 to go. It's getting easier as we go. So we also need the find back in here while we're on that case. We'll save delete for last. So if the case is find, then we want to run find book, the find book function, which we don't have yet. It's cool. And I don't need semicolons are optional in JavaScript, and if it's a function call, I prefer not to put it. Break. That's just me. Okay, so let me find this. Okay, find is still an option here. Cool. Now we need the find function. So function find book. All right, and find book should probably take in we're gonna say we want to find it by, you can only find books by title for now. Okay, maybe author later. For now, just title, and we'll set it up for finding both ways, right? So in find book, so in find book console.log, or that's an input, I guess, because we want to say, hey user, how do you want to search for this book? And for now we're going to say the only option you have is title, but we're setting it up so that we could search by author or year published or date I entered it. So let's say const how to search, or let's say search value is equal to input, and the input is enter how do you want to search. Search, right now it's search by title, so we're just going to set it up for search by title right now, and they're going to give us a search value back, and then with that search value, all right, so here's where we could get all the books. That we could target a specific book, which I think is what we want to do, and I think we can use this again to get just the book we want. So how? Maybe not. I think this book library that I'm going to have will have 100 books in it total, and because of that, I know the performance is going to be okay with this. So we're going to do it this way. We're going to say this is definitely going to be an asynchronous function. Async. We're going to await get, yeah, so const all books equals get all books. Cool. And then we've entered the title, so we're gonna say well, we need to await get all books, right? Because it takes time to go out to Firebase and get all the books. So await get all books. And then we can use that array of objects to check each title and see if there's a match. If there's no match, then if there's no match, then we want to return no book found. If there's a match, we want to return the book, right? So how do we do that? So it's for each book, right? Because there's each book, and it's going to return a Boolean value. So const book found equals all books dot map. We're gonna map through each book, I think. No, dot sum. Dot sum is, hey, if anything matches, it's true, right? So all books dot sum, take each book, and if book dot title, right? Because we want the book, each book is an object, and we want the book dot title, which will give us this value. If book dot title, return if book dot title triple equals search value. So if any of the book dot titles equal the search value, then the book found is true. So then we want to say, if the book is found, return this, else return that, right? So if book found, then we want to search for that book and return it. We'll get there in a second. Else we want to console.log book not found. And then we want to run the main function again. Main. Okay, and you notice the hardest part of this for me so far, and probably will be, just figuring out how to use Firebase, just to connect with Firebase, because I'm not used to, or I don't use a lot of databases, let alone Firebase. So that was brand new to me. The JavaScript, give or take, it just takes a little bit of time, but I get it. All right, so if the book's not found, logbook not found, and run main. Or that's the else part. If the book is found, then we want to get that book, right? So we need to get that specific book. And how are we going to do that? I want to say book const. Is there a way to do like a array.find? There's .sum.find. Let's look. Let's see. Speaking of not knowing JavaScript, JavaScript array.find. Yeah, find method returns the value of the first element in the provided array. It satisfies the provided testing function. Cool. I think that's what we want. So let's try it, right? Const book equals, let's see, all books dot find. And we want to take each book and return, and we want to find the book if the book dot, we want to find the book where the book dot title triple equals the search value. Right, again, what we have up there, so maybe we'll factor that out, but I don't think so. I think it looks fine. And then we want to console.log the book, right? Book use all books dot find the book, and once we find it, log it, and then run main again. So let's see. Maybe. Also this get all books, what happened there? Didn't like that. Yeah, so let's see what happened with that all books first. All books. Yeah, I don't like that. It hangs, right? We want it to go back to main. Why'd it do that? Oh. I need a finally, right? So, not... We don't want to run main. We don't want to run main after we catch the error. We want to do, no matter what happens, finally run main and run it again. So, go back to here. All books. Enter a task. Oh, right. All books. Uh-oh. Now it doesn't work. Okay, so before we finish find, I guess we gotta finish get all books because it's not working. All books, please. No. Okay. So what happened, right? What happened? Try to return. I think we need to await this, right? Because it takes time to get this. So let's try that. Oop, await is only valid in an async function. Alright, so this function has to be asynchronous because it takes time to get that. All books. Yeah, okay, so we had to await, right? We return await this whole shebang, right? We can't just expect that to happen instantaneously. It takes time to go out to the internet, to go out to the cloud, get that data and bring it back. So await it and then run main. So we're looking good there. And books, I think we want to say plus a new line. Just to a semicolon. Let's run that again. All books. Yeah, okay. Oh no. No. That's not what we wanted. Now we're getting object, so something happened with that new line deal. Don't like that. Alright, just forget the new line. Just do this. Enter task, all books. Yeah, and now we're getting the books back. I think we could probably do a new line underneath it. Console.log, just to add a new line in there. Give it some space. Right, yep, that should work. JS, all books. Okay, yeah, and we give it some space, and there's all our books. Nice. All right, now a moment of truth. Find book. So, input search by title. Yep. Okay, let's run this. And this is the part that takes a little bit, right? So we're waiting here, and this needs to be a try catch too, right? So try. To get all the books. And then if we do get all the books, do these things. Okay. And if try doesn't work, we want to catch the error in console.log the error. And then we need to run the main function, regardless of what happens. So if it works, great. If it doesn't, so finally run the main function, no matter what happens. All right, I think we got it. Save. Enter a task. Okay, find. Search by title. We know, you know what, we should probably do 2 lowercase. Eventually we'll need like a 2 lowercase, 2 uppercase, because this capitalized, these are not. But for now it's fine. Let's pick one. Arbins is easy. Arbins. And let's see. Oh, that is not it. Nope. It brought everything back. That sucks. Okay, so if book found, const book, use all book stuff. Alright, so yeah. it just returned all of them. Because get all books logs the books, which is not what we wanted, right? We didn't want to do that. So maybe instead of logging all the books, we just return them and then log them up here in order to reuse this function, right? Because we want to use this function over. So maybe we do return books, and then up here we say get all books, and we say const all books equals get all books, right? So we want to get all the books. But that would make our main function asynchronous. Is that okay? So we want to await that. And then we want to say console.log. I'm doing this because I want to reuse all books in my other function, right? So let's see what that does. First off, let's do all books. Now it's not working, right? All books. Oh, there it is. Cool. All books, please. Yeah, okay. So I just missaw it maybe. All right, all books, cool. Await get all books, log all books. Nice. So now what we want to do is use all books in this find function, which it should be there. Find by title. Arbins, please. Let's see. No, we're getting all three. Why? Console.log book. It's supposed to find the first instance of the book where the book title is equal to the search value. Right? Let's try another way. I see. We don't want to run main here. Want that finally to be there for main, right? Try catch finally. Okay, so close, find Arbins. Arbins. No, it didn't find it. Find Arbins. Did it find it? It did. It just found Arbins. Sweet. Okay, so find playing the, is the capitalized? I can't remember. See, I need to fix that. The trumpet. The trumpet. Doesn't like me the first time. The second time it does. Playing the trumpet. No, it doesn't like me that time either. I wonder why that is. Find Arbins. Find essential elements for strings. Okay, that time I found Arbins. That's odd. Alright, I don't think something's right there. Let's see. Console.log book found. Let's start there. Find Arbins. Let's see if it was found. It's not getting there. Find Arbins, and then it immediately pops back to task options. Why? We're waiting, get all books. Okay, maybe that's the issue, right? We're not getting all books. So let's see. Console.log get all books. Start there. Search by title, Arbins, sure. Oh, something weird there. Find Arbins. Promise pending. Okay. So, I'd have to await the all books, right? I guess I did. Oh, I see. All books. That's why I was getting a promise. There we go. Find Arbins, right? And it didn't even log all the books. Why? Try putting this inside the try. I don't think that would make a difference, but we will see. Find Arbins. No. Huh. It's not logging an error either. Why is it not getting them? They're here, yeah. Oh, there went the horn again. Let's log all books. Getting tired, I might have to take a break soon. The find book. Why can't I reuse that? That's frustrating. It should be returning all the books. Yeah, because here it works, right? All books. Yeah, all books works. I get all of them back, which is great. It's a great thing. So now I'm getting Arbins too. All books. That's weird. All books. What the heck? What's going on? All books. All books. Shouldn't be that complicated. All books. So something's not working right in the try catch. And if I do find essential elements, let's find nothing and see if it returns book not found. No, it didn't. It returned everything, right? Find. Oh, there it is. Book not found. And it's logging. Okay, good. It's not logging all the books. That's good. I'm not sure what's going on there. Find. Huh. Like sometimes it wants to go, and sometimes it doesn't. That's odd. Book not found, right? Sometimes it's like, yeah, it works, and sometimes it's like, no, it doesn't work. And it's not catching the error. I know. Get all books. If all books triple equals undefined, or all books triple equals, yeah, if all books triple equals undefined, then excuse me, then we want to throw new error, books not found. Book not found. Right? So if the books can't, if all books, if this comes back as undefined, then we want to throw a new error. And I think that would allow me to get rid of this try catch. Well, no, because I want to catch that error. Then I throw the error and I catch it and log it, right? So I'm just trying to kind of find my way around that. Find book. No, just find Arbins. Right? And that's weird because it didn't even throw the error. Maybe we just need to console.log all books appear. See what happens. Find Arbins. Yeah, see, it's not actually getting into the function there. That's weird. Find. Search by title, Arbins. And it should collect all the books. And should wait to collect all the books, right? But it's not logging at all. That's odd. I'm so close on this, I don't want to get up yet. Goal's to finish it in one sitting, so let's see. Find Arbins. It's in there, I know it's in there. Find Arbins. Okay, it works sometimes, but not all times. Why? Why is that? That's really weird. And the times it doesn't work, it doesn't throw an error. I think I would want it to. Maybe it has something to do with this try catch. I don't know. Get rid of this. Get rid of this finally. Oops. Oh geez. Just for the second, see what happens. It's gonna pretend everything's indented 8 spaces. Alright, find, search by title, Arbins. No, find, Arbins. There it is. That's weird. Find. Oops. Okay. Well, we know that this isn't right, so it has to do something with this. So maybe, does all books work all the time? All books. No. Sometimes all books. That is weird. But it's all books is not returning everything. Huh. Okay, let's cross this out for now. All books. Now it's getting real weird. Alright, so let's make this console.log books again. I think that was better. To make sure it works every time. Yeah, all books. There it is. Okay, so now it works, right? Every time, all books. All books. Works every time now. Great. Okay, so we don't need this anymore. We don't want to log it twice. So we just say get all books. And this no longer needs to be async. Save that. Run it. All books. Boom. Okay. And I got my list of books. Nice. Okay. So what I'm going to do now, because I know it works, is this. Instead of... going to be a little repetitive. Don't care, because it works. And I need what works right now. Because I'm trying to do it in one project and I'm getting really tired of sitting. So instead of await get all books, we want this, right? We want it's the same thing essentially, but we're gonna do const all books equals, and we're gonna set it here because I think it's just gonna work better. It's the same exact thing. I realize that all books equals await. Can't call it all books. We'll say database books. There we go. Database books, or just DB books. That's fine. Books equals. Where's the bottom portion of that? Right there's a cutoff there after that console.log, which I would need up here. Yeah. Okay, so then I would say return books. So I'm just getting the database books there, returning them to here. Hopefully, right? And then I can do console.log db books. And that should at least return the correct stuff. So let's see, find. It doesn't matter what I type, I just want to get all the books back. That's fine, I know there's going to be an error. Cool, I got them all back. Perfect. Alright, now that I got all the books back. I bet I could make a function out of this to get all books. This guy. But I'm going to wait on that until I get this finished, right? So I get the database books, and then const book found equals, now these two, oops, geez, no, this one and this one need to be db books. Yep, db books. And now this should work, guaranteed. Hopefully, not guaranteed, but all right. Find, search by title, Arbins. Boom, we get Arbins. Nice. Might have been luck. Let's check. Essential elements for strings, and we get that. Nice. Find. Playing the trumpet. Nice, we get that. And last one, find nothing, book not found. Nice. Okay, and let's add a new line onto the end of book not found, just to make it look a little cleaner. Alright, so find, search by title, nothing, right? Book not found. Looks a little cleaner. Okay, and I might even add another new line on the front. I'm not sure why I'm into that recently, but I think it looks good. Find nothing, perfect, book not found. All right, last thing we need to do, and then we're done. Ow. Okay, last thing we need to do is delete. So how do we delete a book? Well, we're gonna need to find the book, right? First we're gonna need to find it, and if we find it, then we're gonna need to delete it. Again, it's going to be some duplicated code. I'm not too worried right now about the duplicated code. I'll try and come back and fix that later. So last function on delete, want to run the delete function, delete book function. So function delete book takes in nothing, and it's gonna say console.log, no, const title equals enter input, enter book title to delete, right? Because we need that. And then how do we delete a book? Let's see, I'm sure it tells us updating or deleting. Can I update? No, we're not. We want delete. No, delete. Yep. Delete data is called remove on a reference to the location of that data. Delete by specifying null as the value for another. Right options such as set or update. delete data is to call remove on a reference to the location of the data. Remove on a reference to the location of the data, or by passing null is the value for another write operation such as set. Let's do that. Feeling that one. So it's like we're gonna add a book, but we're not adding it. We're passing null as the value. It's very confusing. All right, so delete specifying null is the value for another write operation, so just set. Okay. So there's a dot set somewhere, right? In add books. I'm just not looking at add books. There we go. Dot set null, right? We want null. So we want to get the books slash, we don't want the ID, we want to get the title inside of the book. So I think actually the easiest way to do this for now could be get the title of the book to delete, and then we're going to get the database books. This is again not the best way of doing it. You should be able to delete it from in the database, but it's going to work for me for now. Get all the database books, and then what I want to do is very similar to this find book. I want to check if, yeah. So this is very close. I know I need this back in a try catch. All right, so value snapshot.val find book search by title. Let's keep consistency here. Book, title to delete, and then oh, don't freeze on me. Don't freeze. Okay. I'm just getting tired. Search value equals input. Alright, so yeah, let's call it search value again. Search value. Alright, and I go through. If the book is found, I'm missing something here. There we go. This line. If book found, then we want to delete the book, right? So how do I just get rid of an entire object from an array? I can filter it out, right? So I can do const new books equal database books dot filter. Take each book and return only the ones where the book title does not equal the search value. And then we can say, where's add? Where did add go? There it is. Add book. Not add book to library. We want to add all the books back into library. So, oh, you know what? This is not the way to do it. We just need to delete. Delete a value from Firebase Database. How to remove value from Firebase Database? Sure. That's it's fine. We're in Java. I was gonna say it should be easier. Writing, delete, update data. There we go. How about a nice Medium article? If it is telling me I can't view it, I'll scream. Okay. Right. Write database, write data, sure. Deleting. This.database.ref, users plus user ID, user ref dot remove. If you want to remove a user, collection of users. Yeah, okay, so I can pass null to update. I like that. User ref dot child. I don't know if that's gonna work. This.database.ref of a new user is Mike. I don't think that's gonna work, but let's give it a Control-C. So let's comment out all this craziness for now that I probably don't need. User ref equals .database.ref, user ref dot child. Let's do search value dot set, and we want to set the whole thing to null. Boom. Task. I know this won't work, but just delete. Oof. Okay. Delete. Enter book title to delete Arbins. Oof. Cannot read property ref of undefined. Alright, because I don't need this, right? So it'd be Firebase.database. That's what it is. Alright. Delete Arbins. Still gonna throw, yeah. User ID is not defined, right? Users slash plus. The thing is, I would need the user ID, I think, to delete it there. I don't think this was the brightest move. Adding them by anonymous user IDs doesn't seem to work. What if I added them by book title, right? So I feel like that could clear up a whole bunch of crap. Add book, instead of an ID here, we could just say slash, let's do title. I think that might work better. So let's go in and delete these. Delete, refresh, make sure it's empty. And boom, empty database, cool. So now let's try and add some books by title. Node index, sure. Add Arbins. Author Arbin, 1945. Okay, let's make sure it's there. Nice. I think this is a better way to go about it for now. For me, for now. It's not great for everybody, but it works. Enter task. Gonna add again. Playing the trumpet. Bill Bay. 1970. Okay, and then Add, last one, essential elements for strings. Robert Gillespie, 1995. Alright, so now I can do all books. And boom, I got 3 different books. Perfect. Now my find books is probably messed up though, right? So I got all books. Now I did find books. And for find books now, we should just be able to do /books /books. How did I do it down here? And add. Yeah. That's the way we're gonna find it. /books. So all that stuff I did before, we'll just ignore that a little bit. I'll call this search value title. And we're actually going to return this, or we can say const book equals that, and get rid of all this, and console.log the book that we found, right? So we get the book and we find it. Let's try it. Close out, open, find, Arbins. Oof, nope. Unhandled, promise rejection when unexpected, end of JSON input at JSON parse. Okay. Oh, right. Snapshot.val. That's actually what I want, right? So, const book equals snapshot.val return book. I think I'm getting real close here. Find Arbins. Yeah, okay, now it's JSON, right? It's returning JSON. But if I want it to be a JavaScript object, so I can do JSON book, and then I can say const book equals JSON dot parse JSON book. Then I can return the book. Yeah, I don't like that this is named the same thing though. Console log. What happens if we don't find the book, right? So let's see. Regardless of it shadowing the thing, find. What if we don't find it? Expected token O in JSON position 1. Yeah, okay, so if we don't find it, we're going to try. It's going to throw an error if it doesn't work, which is good. So try this. Try this whole thing. If there's an error, catch the error in console.log the error. And then finally, no matter what happens, run main. Alright, so back out of that. Find, no title, let's see. Cool, then it logs the error. Console.log. I think we're just gonna need to say like error. Yeah, so console log error. But we can also console.log book not found. I think. What happens if we just straight up like do find cat, because cat's not a book that's there, right? Null, it returns null, so that's what we need, right? So not this. If there's an error, throw the error. But if null, I guess up here we can stop the title problem, right? If title triple equals, if title is an empty string, then we need to call find book again. No, we need to console.log, maybe a new line. Please enter a value for book title. Okay, and then it's gonna call find book again. So if title's empty, I think we can solve that error by doing that, right? So find, and if we don't enter, yeah, please enter a value for book title. Good. And then if it's like an actual database error, it'll throw here, and if not, it will log the book, right? So the null thing, right? If we can also say then await the book, right? But if book triple equals null, then we need to console.log book, maybe a new line, book not found. That's where we'd put book not found. Yeah, so now if we do find cat, yeah, it's gonna say book not found. And so if we do something like, find, please enter a value for book title again if the book not found, find. Okay, so let's do Arbins, make sure it works. Oh, nope. Doesn't like me. Unexpected token. Oh, and JSON parse. What? Find. It was working. There it is. Not sure what happened there. Find. Must have spelled it wrong, right? Because do it 2 more times and it works. Find essential elements for strings. Boom. Got it. No, it gave me Arbins. Why did it give me Arbins? What is going on? Find. Playing the trumpet. Okay, now I got behind. That's really weird. So, try again. Find. Playing the trumpet. There it is. Find essential elements for strings. There it is. Okay. Yeah, not sure what happened there. It probably has to do with recalling the book at some point. Running find book again if the title's empty might be throwing it off. Yeah, so let's do that. We're just not gonna make it recursive. Cool, so we have find book, get all books, add book, and delete book wasn't working, so let's make delete book work. Excuse me. Excuse me. Alright, so the last bit here is this. And we need it for this. We're gonna call this title, because we want to search by title to delete. Title set to null. We're gonna try this. Delete Arbins. Ooh, no. .ref is not a function. Cool. Oh, not cool, but it's okay. So let's do it this way then. Isn't there a set down here? Maybe not. Yeah, it was here. Firebase.database.ref.set. That's what you get for copying and pasting me. Yeah, so I don't need this line. .ref. This is why, right? .ref. .set to null. That should solve it. I think. Should just be 2 lines then. Delete Arbins. Yeah. Okay, now if I go back here, Arbins is gone, right? So that's good. So I don't need any of this. I do need the main again. So I want to keep the main. Save. Probably want this in a try catch too, right? So try. Oops. Try this. Catch error console.log error. If there is one, no matter what happens, we want to do finally, and we want to run the main function no matter what, right? So paste that, save. Okay. Let's try to delete one more. Delete essential elements for strings. Cool. Let's now do all books. And it should just be 1. Yeah, playing the trumpet. Nice. Okay. So I think we're done here for now. Let's kind of go over what we wrote. And then let's, once we went over what we wrote, let's try out the whole application. So I think all these get books, find book, delete book. Where's the other one? Get all books, add book. There it is. It's always hiding. Okay, so these are these we'll need. Get books, find books, delete book. Yeah. These are going to go in their own file, right? Because these aren't necessarily the main function. But then I'm going to need the book over there. It's fine. So I can do... I don't need a class for these. I could put them in a class, and then I could call it like, I don't need this anymore, not using this. I'm gonna need Firebase over in the other one in a second, so let's just call it operations.js, right? Because these are the operations we can perform. Boom, paste it. We want all those in one place for sure. And we want the book and Firebase to go with it. I think we want to organize these somehow in like an object or in a in a class. Now, what would the difference be? I don't need to run anything on, I'm just gonna put these in an object. There's no reason to not put them in an object, right? So const, I can say, what do I want to call it? I need a good name for it. Operations is kind of long. Operations.js. They're like actions, right? So could just be could rename it actions. And these are the actions we have. Const actions equals, it's an object, And inside it's gonna have all these functions, right? So let's just back that up. Oh crap. Formatting right here. Back that up. What is this one doing? Way out there. Okay. Back that up. Cut. Put it inside the actions object. And then, alright, so these need to kind of be redone, right? So I think stuff like this would work. Find book is, but then async can't go there. So where does it go? Async? No. Nope. Async. Ugh. Oh, I just need a comma. That's probably why. Yeah, async find book. There we go. Delete book, find book. Drop a comma. Get all books. Drop a comma. Add book to library. Alright, so the only kicker is I used this. Did I use this whole thing twice? Yeah, I used that whole thing twice, and I'd like to not do that. But that's, in the grand scheme of things, that's not bad at the moment. So I have add book. I don't need this ID anymore. I have get all books. Find book. I think that's the hardest one at the moment. And delete book. Okay, and then we want to export this actions object. Module.exports equals actions. Nice. And then in index.js we want to import, no, not import, const actions equals require dot slash actions. Nice. Alright, and then we have our main function. Get rid of this. Running of the main function is here, which is fine. I could export the main function to like a app.js and run it there, I guess, because it all kind of stems from that, right? So where's my index? Index.js, but then I could have like a app.js, and I could say module.exports equals main, right? And then in my app.js I could have an iffy, right? I forget how to make an iffy, but I want to call main, like immediately invoke it. So main, and then I think I would just do, I forget, iffy js, right? So show me was a function, boom. Okay, so I just need to write it like this, right? So function, you know what, let's do that. Not a big fan of copy paste, but so we can see it, and we want to run main in there. Main, and that's it. That's all we want to do in here. And we need to import it, I guess, right? Const main equals require dot slash index. Yeah. And then we automatically run the main function from this app.js. So okay, I guess the config and the book would be like models, right? So maybe I need to separate this into some folders. My index is kind of my main, and then actions are separate. This is okay, it's not that big, right? So my app runs from here, from the app.js. I just call, so I should be able to go node app.js, and it works, right? Yeah. All right, so I call the whole program from this app.js, which is exported from this index, right? Uh-oh, it's not gonna work though, because I need to, this actions I imported up here, I gotta do actions dot, yeah. Because each of these is an action. Actions dot, yeah. Each of these is a method on the actions object that we exported here, which is kind of what I wanted, so we can see what we're doing. Now the whole program should work. I like how it's set up. So let's run through this. We have our main, our app.js, which calls main, which I should probably appropriately rename this main.js. Save it, rename it here. It already is. Sweet. Okay. And then this takes in a user task, and it says, hey, which user task is it? Add, delete, find, or get all books, right? So based on which one they enter is the action that we call. And these print task options are just to log what the user options are. And so it calls one of these action functions, which is great. And in order to get the action functions to work, though, we needed to set up Firebase. So here's my Firebase setup, fire.js, and where's the, I needed the config, right? The API key, which I use in the Firebase. I just don't want this config to be on GitHub, so I saved it in some config file. And then this Firebase thing, I export to actions, which is here. And then I have this book function in actions, which we made, which is a constructor function. So whenever we make a new book, we don't have to rewrite all this every single time. A book will be made through this constructor function. It's going to return a book object. And yeah, so here's our actions. Delete book. We get the title of the book to delete. We try to delete it. If not, throw an error. And no matter what happens, run the program again. Find book. Get it by title. If the title is empty, say, hey, you need to enter a valid book, and rerun the program. Or you need to enter a value for the book title. Sorry. If the title's not empty, then we check to see if the book's there. If there is no book there, we log, hey, book's not found. If this just doesn't work, to the call to Firebase, throw an error. No matter what happens, run main. Get all books. So this whole thing, we get all the books from Firebase as some JSON, and then we parse it into a JavaScript object and log it. If there's an error, throw it or log it, and no matter what happens, run main, and then add books last, right? We ask the user for a title, author, and year published. We make a new book here from our constructor, and then we try to add the book, and if that doesn't work, log an error and run main. So let's run it in PowerShell just to give it all a go. Oh, that's convenient, isn't it? Doesn't really look good. Right there's fine. Index app.js. Ooh, node app. Getting tired. All right, so let's first look at all the books we have. Right now there's only one. Main is not defined. Main is not defined. Uh-oh. Okay, so it's not quite done. It was close. We don't have main in this Firebase thing. We need to run main from the other screen. So all these finallys that I just said about, get rid of them. I don't want any circular dependencies, so get rid of those. Go over to this, where'd it go? Main. And so the actions would be add a book to library and then call itself. And that's going to be the same for each one. Call main after each action is done. Instead of calling it in the actions file, because we don't want to import main into there and then import actions into main. It's like it's given circular dependencies. So we just call main after each one. In that case, I don't think we would need to call break unless it's a default case, but just for clarity, we're gonna leave those breaks in there, I think. Save. And now let's run in PowerShell. So again, I just took the mains out of actions and put them after the functions in main, so it recursively calls itself. All right, let's try again. Let's get it right this time. Node app. All right, add. What do we want to add? Oh, you know what? Let's not do that. Clear node app. I'm gonna look at all the books first. All books, please. Oh no, all books, please. Oh gosh. No. No, 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 no. Run main. Maybe this needs to, oh, I know. This needs to be async. We need to await each one of these before we just recursively call main over and over. Await. Alright, because if we don't wait for this to happen, it's just going to start over. Now we're set. Alright, so now let's do it. Clear node app. Alright, all books, please. There we go. That's the only book in there. Let's delete that book. Playing. Delete. Oops, just delete. What is wrong? Input is not defined. I don't understand. Delete. Oh man, input is not defined. Oh, I understand. I need this input over in my actions till I use this over here. Right, so okay, so these two come from there. This one is from an independent library. Yeah, so anything where I use that input, I need that input, which is here and in actions. Alright, so now we should be good. Clear. Let's try the library again. Node app. Alright, all books. Make sure it still works. Cool. Delete. What do we want to delete? Playing the trumpet. Nice. All books, please. Cannot convert undefined or null to object. Okay. So we're not quite done still. If we get all books. Yeah, so need to say something like let books equal await that whole thing, right? And const. Now we need to say if books triple equals null, no book console.log, no books found. Save that. That should solve that problem. Then I'm going to want to reorganize that function yet, and then I think we're done. Alright, so enter a task. You know what, let's clear this. Clear. Yeah. And I think it was all books, right? If there's no books in there, cannot convert undefined or null to object. Yeah, so let's log it and see what we're getting. Console.log books. Let's see what that comes up as. All books. So we know there's an error there, but what are we logging? Cannot convert. It never gets there, does it? No, it never gets there. Okay, so that That doesn't quite work. This should work though. Console.log all books. Let's do that. All books. Yeah. Null. Okay, yeah, so there's the null. So we can say if all books triple equals null, then we want to throw new error, which we're going to catch. Library is empty. Right, that's what we want to do. Cool. So let's close, run it, make sure it works. All books. Library is empty. Perfect. That's what we want. So maybe we don't want to throw an error. Well, we do, because we want to get down to this error. If it's empty, maybe we just say return. Yeah, return. If all books is null, return null. Yeah. 2 books, right? And then we could just say we don't want to return anything, so we could do console.log library is empty, and then return. That should do it. All right, so all books. Yeah, no, we don't get that error. Library is empty and it returns undefined, so maybe we don't want that. We're logging books anyways, so we could just return library is empty instead of logging it, I think. So here we could do just return library is empty. Yeah, all books. Nice. Okay. And I think we want that new value before and after, right? So all books. That looks better. Okay, so let's go. I think we're officially done now. So let's go into here, clear it, and node app.js. All right, all books. Hey, the library is empty. Great. Let's add a book. Enter title, playing the trumpet. Author is Bill Bay. Year is 1970. Now let's get all books. All right, and 1 is there. Great. Now we want to add another book. What are we gonna add? We're gonna add Arbin's by Arbin, 1945. And we want to get all books. Great, we got Arbin's and playing the trumpet. Now we want to find a specific book. Let's search by title. Let's suppose we don't enter a title. Ooh, please enter a value for book title. Good. Okay, so find, search by title, Arbin's. And there it is. So find, search by title. What was the other one? Playing the trumpet. Boom, and we got it. Now the I thought we took care of that syntax error. That's bothering me. Well, let's do delete it. Delete. Enter book title to delete Arbin's. All right, so all books, and we should have 1 left. Nice, playing the trumpet. Now if I close out of this and get back into it, right? This is the point of having the database in Firebase instead of just locally, is that this will always be there, right? So if I restart this, If I restart this program, Hopefully it might take a second. Yeah, if I restart this program and go tutorials, music library, node app, and I look in all books, we still have playing the trumpet because it's stored in Firebase where it's permanently there, right? Unless we move it from there. So that's cool. So now I have a fully functioning library that I can add, delete, find, and find books in and get all the books for my shelf of music books. I'm a musician. I got probably 60 books on the shelf that I'm going to catalog and have in this music library. Very excited for that. The only error that I have left to fix is that little error that pops up when I don't enter anything for a book title, and I'm not too worried about that right now. Thanks for watching. I know it's been a long video, but the goal was to make of course, a video that was unedited, and so you can kind of see what it's like to go at something and have no clue what you're doing. So I hope you liked the video. If you did, please subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.